Hi, this is Adam Schefter from ESPN. Please join us on the latest Know Them From Adam podcast with Dwight Howard as he talks about Kobe Bryant, James Harden, and the one young NBA player he'd pay to see.
All them dogs are counting down, about to put the anchor down. Hotty toddy, who's it gonna be? Cowbells and swamp, the Aggies strong. There's nothing like the SEC. The weekend's full of surprise.
Hit him with the flex.
From Williams Bikes to Death Valley. On the Finebaum Show, Paul's on the roll. If he don't get the best of me, call Paul.
Alabama.
It's your show. Go ahead.
They'll make sense of it all.
You got a damn burning crappy attitude.
Needles up on Rocky Top. The Razorbacks are hard to stop. War Eagles soaring in the wind.
Let me talk, Danny.
Okay, go.
Tigers rocking in the zoo. Wildcats are grinning too. Talk about the tide that's rolling in. The weekend's full of surprises. From big upsets to rivalries. On the Finebaum Show, heads are gonna roll. If they don't get the best of me, we'll call Paul. Can't make sense of it all.
I really don't know where to go after that.
Don't take those calls.
I could give you my address, phone number, if you're ever in this neck of the woods.
In my life, I've never had a phone call like that. We welcome you back to the second hour of our program. We're glad you're with us. It's been a pretty wild first hour for those of you who sadly missed it. And I mean that sincerely. We will talk a lot to you during the next 3 hours at 855-242-7285. Also, David Williams shortly. Teddy Greenstein, with the Chicago Tribune. Let's get back to the calls. And Dave is up next in Pennsylvania. Hello, Dave.
Hey, Paul. It's a pleasure to speak with you. I just got to say, there was a time when I lived in Las Vegas, and I never understood the whole Vin Scully thing. But I started watching the Dodgers just to listen to him call a game, and it was like I had someone sitting in the living room with me watching the game. It wasn't like I was listening to a broadcast. And that's the only way I can describe what it's like to have you on every day in the afternoon when I'm sitting here watching television. It's like having a conversation with someone in my living room, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Now, great subject here. This is fun to, as a Penn State grad, I must admit, it's a lot of fun to pick on Michigan and especially Jim Harbaugh. He kind of reminds me of the Larry Brown, starting to take the Larry Brown career path where he's kind of like a bottle rocket, goes from place to place, has, incredible successes like at Stanford with a big upset win at USC and taking Stanford into the Super Bowl, but never anything completely memorable. I believe Brown won a national championship as a coach. Harbaugh has yet to do that, but that's kind of who he reminds me of. I also like to point out that to Michigan fans that since their last national championship, they've had one shared national championship since 1948, which I think you pointed out before. Michigan State has two of those to their claim, and Iowa and Minnesota can also claim the same thing. They have shared national championships since Michigan's last full national championship.
Yeah, it is extraordinary. Dave, I can't thank you enough for the kind words. We have a guest about to come on, but your comments really are appreciated by everyone working here. We hope to talk to you soon. Thank you very much. And speaking of feeling comfortable, let us welcome our good friend David Williams here. He's the Vice Chancellor and also in charge of athletics at Vanderbilt University. We mentioned in the piece leading into this hour the quality weekend that is going on on the Nashville campus. We'll let David explain it a little bit more. David, thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
We are doing great. Very interested in this weekend. I think I have a reasonable understanding of it, but I would prefer you to share it with the audience and talk about the genesis and what actually is going to transpire.
Well, it's we always try to make sure that we
we stay focused not only on our kids participating, but we take every opportunity to try to make sure that we educate. And when we celebrate, we try to educate. And so this is Black History Month, and a lot of stuff goes on our campuses and in the media and things like that of Black History Month. So we thought that it would be a way to try to educate in addition to celebrate. So we were trying to think of how best to do that. We happen to have some conversations with Nike, and we're a Nike school, and Nike actually from time to time comes out with a special edition of a shoe or a uniform, and so Nike said that they were thinking about doing something special in the way of a shoe and whatnot, and started talking about, well, what about making a special one-time uniform for you guys? And nobody had talked about design, and we said, that's pretty cool. And I was able to talk to our people at the SEC about making sure that in the schedule we got one weekend in February where our men's and women's team would be home both weekends, and that's this coming weekend. And so we decided that would be our equality weekend, if you like. And then we decided, how do we actually go about doing that? And so what we decided to do is to actually do some research based on, and this was the concept, and I think, for me being old enough to remember it, when I was a junior in high school, if I looked up at the SEC schools, there were no African-American athletes, and very few of the schools had African-American students. And now we look at our playing fields and our campus, and we see this great diversity of America. But sometimes we don't take the time to think about how that happened. It wasn't just a magic act. There were a lot of people that put in a lot of leadership, time, a lot of courage in order to make that happen. And so I call it the teammate concept. And as we talked to our kids on our men's and women's basketball team, we said, think about who your teammates are, and think about a time when they couldn't be that way, and how blessed you are that it is that way. There are some people who we need to thank for that. And so in that, we sort of did our research, and we found a bunch of people, but we got down to the point where we're going to honor 21 local, and in some cases local/national, people who were involved in making that opportunity to have who you had as a teammate, some civil rights people. And so the weekend is sort of dedicated to them. We'll honor some of them at the game Saturday evening and the other group on Sunday. We have special jerseys made for our teams. We'll give those jerseys to the families. Many of the people have passed, and so there's families coming together. But it's been very, very, very well received, and I think everybody involved, our kids are excited because each one had to go learn about one of those people and then teach the rest of the team about their person. And so they've also sort of had, in a strange sort of way, an adoption of that person. And even us, who've done the research and been around, we found things that we didn't know. So it has been a really, really, really good education piece. And I think all of us better appreciate the person who stands next to us, plays next to us, has a locker next to us. But we all got to be teammates anyway.
I wanted to ask you about that because I know, and I think it was a lot different for you growing up maybe than me because of knowing your history. But we would hear about things maybe of a different era, David, that was horrific or tragic, and I'm not sure as a young person I really grasped it. And when you said that, I think it brings it home a little bit more. I realize you're an educator and I'm not, but I'm really curious about young people today understanding what really was going on back during this period.
Yeah, and Paul, that's part of why we try to do it. It's not to bring focus on something bad, but really to bring focus on something good and to see how good it is today. And not saying that we still don't have a lot of work to do. You really got to understand how bad it was, and you have to understand what existed. And so sometimes, I would say we will celebrate things in our daily life. Memorial Day, Veterans Day. I had the experience just yesterday as part of Black History Month that I had to go speak at the Veterans Hospital. And Paul, I mean, this grabbed me. I've been here 17 years. There's a Veterans Hospital that sits smack in the middle of our campus.
Sure.
And almost on a daily basis, I walk past it. And do you realize in 17 years I've never been in there until yesterday? But when I walk through those halls to go where I speak, it hit me. Wait a minute. These are the people that are here. I mean, as I saw people in wheelchairs or with one leg or whatever with the Vietnam veteran hat on, then it hits you. You do need to stop and understand the history so you can understand what you have right now. And so, I think it's very important to educate these young people because, and it's not their fault. We have the ability to take these special days and they become, well, that's the day I can go to the mall because the mall is open and I don't have to go to work. But there's a reason why we have those holidays. And I just think what we're just trying to do is to make sure that people don't forget what the reason is and the people that made it happen.
And I'm curious, I've seen, in this case, athletes interviewed. I saw a piece a couple of months ago about the Kentucky players who shattered the barrier, and obviously the Perry Wallace story. We've heard so much about that. When you get a chance to visit with these trailblazers who didn't think they were at the time, and they're on your campus, I'm curious what you get from them, because my sense is, David, that they're appreciative to be remembered, even though we should have remembered them much more and for a longer period of time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think that to me is one of the most humbling and sort of unexplainable things to me. They're thanking us, and I don't get it. I mean, I'm just totally blown away. They're thanking us, and I mean, you and I would have to go and have a long lunch or a dinner for me to describe to you some of the things that these people have said to us. And not only them, their families, what they've said. I mean, we had a woman who said, this is the greatest honor that my family has ever received. And it's kind of like, you mean by me focusing on you at a basketball game, I've done something that you feel that strongly about? I mean, that's a very little price that we're paying for what they did. But you're absolutely right. They are just blown away by the fact that somebody is remembering them. And like I said, in the family, because some of these people have passed, the families have been just overwhelmingly. I mean, I know you got done, but I got to tell you one story. And I can tell you all of them. I got 21 of them and more. But this is one that just really, really just grabbed me. As we're doing the research, we came across a couple, a white husband and wife, who were faculty members back in the day at Fisk University, historical black school. And what they did is they opened their house to Fisk students, rented rooms to them, loaned them money, let them use the car, gave money to some of the civil rights people. But at the time the public schools in Nashville were segregated, they did something else. They had some children, and they were some of the first people in this city who tried to put their white children in black schools. They tried at that point in time to integrate the schools. And at that point in time, they couldn't. They were not successful. Finally, the last attempt they had, they actually got one of their daughters in a black school. They left after that and went out to Portland and taught at Portland State. By the time we found them and tracked them down, they both had passed. But we got the children, and the children just were absolutely blown away that anybody even remembered that about their mom and dad. I know, I'm 69 years old. I never read about that. I didn't know about these people. But it's certainly that sort of effort and that sort of commitment that actually allows you and I to be friends.
Well, and I am so fortunate for that. And listen, you know how much we appreciate you and your contributions here, and look forward to many, many more. David, thank you for sharing all of this with us, and really look forward to seeing you soon.
All right, buddy. You take care, and thanks for having me on.
Oh, it was our pleasure. Thank you, David Williams.
Take care.
The Vice Chancellor at Vanderbilt University and also the Director of Athletics. We are off and running here on a Friday afternoon. More of your phone calls when we come back. Pretty entertaining show so far. We'll see if we can continue this. And you can give us a ring at 855-242-7285. Let's run to the calls. And you can call in right now, by the way. No 4-hour wait. We'll get right to you. Jimmy is up next. How are you, Jimmy?
I'm good. This is Jimmy from Cordova.
Well, good to hear from you, Jimmy.
All right. How do you feel about Alabama and Michigan, the comparison?
Alabama and Michigan? I don't really see any comparisons. I think Alabama is a winner, and with championships almost in every era. And as somebody said earlier, Michigan has won a half a championship in 70 years. How can you compare these two schools?
Oh, I think Jim Harbaugh is really tricking when he jumps in on Alabama. He has no leverage in the head coaching spot compared to Nick Saban, even if he did come from the NFL.
Well, when you get right down to it, Jimmy, who does? Right now, if you ask me, which I guess you are, Urban Meyer is the only contender to Nick Saban's throne in college football.
Yeah, I still think
got it the second time. Urban Meyer is a great football coach. He's won 3 national championships. He's beaten Nick Saban a couple of times. He's done things that very few people have done, and I understand the dislike, but I believe that Urban Meyer is the only threat out there to Saban. Certainly, there are a number of people with single championships, but no one is in that league. Those two gentlemen are ahead of the pack. Thank you for the call. Do appreciate it. If you want to give us a ring, it's 855-242-7285. And Dot is up next.
Thank you.
Hi there.
Mr. Finebaum, this is Dot Cooner, and I live in Jasper, Alabama, but at the time that I met you,
Walker County.
I worked at Walker High School.
Oh, wonderful.
You came, and Lenny Patrick was playing ball.
I do remember that well.
I wanted these people to call in and being ugly to you, that there's a side of you they don't know, and that's how much you did for local high schools. You could say you were coming, and everybody would be there, but Dr. Richard Harp, I think, is who brought you there. He did all of that. I'm sure you remember Dr. Harp.
I do. I remember being there. It was very special. It was somewhat early in my career.
It was real special to us because I was the cafeteria manager, and you came back, and we had all kinds of good food, and you complimented us and took food home, and it was just a good thing. But when I hear them criticize you now listen, I'm 81, my husband's 86. You're part of our family. It's like jumping on a family, and especially when they jump on Nick Saban and everything, they never satisfy everybody. But I just wanted all those people that are listening to know that there is a very, very good side of you, that you spend a lot of time with high school athletes and stop and talk with them, and I remember especially that you spoke to everyone in there that night. And some of the things they say, they just don't know. I mean, and you know, like the other men that have called in, you're doing your job. You know, if he did this, you know, he did it. If he didn't, he didn't. But I just wanted them to know that there's a different side of you than sitting there, you know, having to, and I don't call it criticizing. Like the young man said, you told the truth. And when you tell the truth, you know, that's it. But don't let me take up too much of your time, because we listen to you every day.
Well, listen, you have no idea how much your call has meant, and you brought back some very meaningful memories from years ago, and I really appreciate you saying that.
Well, Ray Perkins was there one night when you came, and then the next time you came back, it was when the coach that had the he was there a couple of coaches ago, had the special child.
Oh, the Coach Stallings.
Coach Stallings. You were with him and everything. And, you know, those people still write me letters, and I enjoy it so much. But I just wanted, I told my husband, I said, if I can get through, and I tried. And so I've got to, and so if all those people are being ugly, they need to think about the good things that you do. And you know what? If you're going to play football or coach football, you better get tough.
You're right about that.
Even if you're just a listener, you know, or somebody on the sidelines. But we appreciate you every day, and listen, don't let them jump on you too much without fighting back a little bit. Maybe being too nice about it.
Well, I understand. Well, Dot, listen, thank you for reminding me, and thank you for calling. And well,
let me tell you the one last thing I want to say to you.
Okay.
Is I never will forget you putting your arm up on Lenny Patrick's back and telling him he could be anything he wanted to be, anything. And, you know, Bear Bryant just thought the world of you. Bear Bryant would call me and tell me when he was coming through town or whatever, because he loved those 2 half rows.
Well,
all the food they had. But listen, you have a good day, and you'll get some more good calls, I'm sure. And we appreciate you, and we listen to you every day over in Jackson.
Dot, best of your husband, thank you so very much. That means a great deal.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. From Walker County, Jasper, Alabama. Appreciate that a lot. Let's continue with more phone calls. And Jason is calling from New York. Hello, Jason.
Hi, Paul. How you doing, bud?
We're doing great.
I listen to you all the time, and I know I'm a big Michigan fan, so I'm not mad at you too much, but Saban was 14-6. Saban was 14-6 his first 2 years at Bama. Harbaugh's 20-6 in his first 2 years. And if you ask any Michigan fan, they would take Harbaugh over anybody. So he's doing what he's supposed to be doing to making the fans happy, the people that are writing the checks happy. He's also had all relationships with the people
Jason,
that he's hired.
let me make this point clear.
Sure, Paul.
Okay?
Sure. Yep.
I have never shied away from saying I think Jim Harbaugh is one of the best football coaches in the country.
Agreed. I've heard you say that.
I think that when he was hired, I was on that day, and I said I thought it was the most important hire in college football since Urban went to Ohio State, and I think it has been. And I don't dislike Jim Harbaugh. He's a polarizing figure. I'm on programs to give my opinion. I praised him on the Rome trip. I thought that was a great idea. I just had some issues on the other trip. But, you know, listen, I don't a tweet is not going to hurt me.
Right.
And, you know, I would, you know, I have, I don't know Jim that well. I've interviewed him before. I haven't seen him lately. And if he walked in right now, I think we'd have a great conversation.
And you know he's going to tweet back at you. He has to.
That's fine.
And I don't think it's personal. I just think that's his job. It's your job and that's his job. You both are doing
no big deal.
your jobs.
You know, I'm interested in what he does, and obviously he's interested in what we do.
Because it draws ratings and it draws people to his program.
Sure.
And it gets people eyes on Michigan now. Do you know what I mean? And my only thing with this is he's not doing anything against the rules by bringing these people in as coaches, and he's all had past relationships with them. If he was bringing in Joe Schmo, recruit's father, that's never laid off the couch, that couldn't even spell football, then that's different. You know what I mean? Look at Tyrone Wheatley. He's now in the NFL coach and got a gig. That's where I think we differ just a little bit. He's not bringing in guys off the street. He's bringing in people at least with a background of it.
That is fair, and I'll concede that. And by the way, it's this is a talk show. I want to hear from every side of an issue. That's what makes a great show. Jason, thanks for the call from New York. It's not one person sitting here for 3 or 4 hours bloviating, talking about how great he is and how bad everyone else is. I've joked about Michigan fans. That's on the record. But I do know I have friends of mine who went to the University of Michigan, very good friends, associates. I don't broad brush an entire group. There is a group of Michigan fans that I've referred to several times, and they know who they are. I don't know if they've ever even been to Ann Arbor, but that's fine. You don't have to physically step foot on the campus to be a fan. That's a conversation we've had many, many times. We will take a break. Much more to come on a Friday afternoon. Glad you're with us here on this Friday afternoon. Let's continue with more calls at 855-242-7285. Squirrel is up next. Hey, Squirrel.
Hey, good afternoon. You could have kept that Magic Carpet Ride going for a little bit longer. That's a great song.
Oh, yeah.
My thoughts on Michigan. I remember living in Orange Beach about 8 years, and I remember during the winter you couldn't sling a dead cat without hitting 5 or 6 Michigan snowbirds, which was kind of irritable. And then I remember my company sending me up to the Detroit, Ann Arbor area 3 or 4 times. And the last time they sent me up there was to a paper mill in Muskegon. And I distinctly remember going back into my hotel room twice. And then when I checked in my rental car, I looked under the seat and everywhere because I wanted to bring back everything I took up there because I wanted to have no reason to ever go back. I mean, what a dreadful state, a dreary state, full of dreary people. I mean, that's the only way I can describe Michigan. I don't know why anybody would want to live there. I mean, can you give me a little insight on why you would want to live
listen,
there?
Squirrel,
I mean, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings or anything, but let's put things in perspective. I mean, and since when are they relevant other than having a coach who's well-known? I mean, once again, they were supposed to be such badasses 3 or 4 years ago. They had their little skeeter bug quarterback. I think the Alabama played them in Dallas, and we've never heard from them since. I mean, great. I mean, Mississippi State beat them by, 40-something points in the bowl game 2 years ago. I mean, Michigan is they're just an average program at best. So they really need to win something and accomplish something before they get on here and start flapping their lips. I mean, that's just my opinion. That goes for Jim Harbaugh, too. I mean, he may have done something in the NFL. Well, this isn't the NFL. This is harder than the NFL to win a championship, if you want to know the truth. So, like I said, I'm interested in what these Michigan people got to say, but they keep it respect.
Squirrel, I was as far as living in Michigan. I mean, there are a lot of people that just have no choice.
Yes, so.
I mean, you do have to be sympathetic to them, don't you?
As long as they stay there, I will be sympathetic to them. It's when they start driving south is when I have an issue. So again, stay up there, worship your team. Nothing's going to come of it. Michigan won't win a national championship in the next 5 years. I mean, why are we even discussing those cats other than they got an idiot coach who just likes to run his mouth? That's all I got to say. Thanks for taking my call. Have a good weekend.
Thank you very much. Glad to hear from you. How about Andre up next? Hey, Andre. Good afternoon to you.
Coach Finebaum, thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
Listen, the thing about Harbaugh is that him and Bo Schembechler have in common. Neither one of them have ever won a national championship, Coach Finebaum.
You're right about that. I mean, I don't want to disparage Bo because he was a great football coach. But
he was.
When I think of
Bo
Schembechler, I think of him as arguably the greatest college football coach, who never won a national championship.
Coach, is
there a better one?
You're just the messenger. A lot of people don't like the message, so they attack the messenger. What you stated about Harbaugh, it is. It's, and all these Michigan fans, you ask them, why is it that the Big Ten is coming to the South to run these satellite camps? I don't see any team from the ACC or the SEC running the Illinois or Indiana or Ohio or Michigan to run the satellite camp. That's because the talent is in the South. And if people think you can't compare Harbaugh to Nick Saban, and I'm not a Saban fan, I'm an LSU fan, but at least Nick Saban has participated and won national championships. Michigan got 2 in the last 70 years, Paul, 2. But these Michigan fans, you would think they've been winning them all the time, the way these Michigan fans act, Coach Finebaum. I mean, and you cannot compare SEC to the Big Ten. The SEC has been dominating the draft for the last 15 years in a row. Let's see if the Big Ten can do it this year. I don't think so, and you don't either, Coach Finebaum. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you very much. Great to hear from you, Andre. Really good stuff. Thanks for the call. Let's talk to Coach in Nashville.
Hey, Paul. How you doing, man?
We are well, Coach.
Man, look, I got 2 questions, and I want a statement first. I want to say about Harbaugh. I'm a 49er fan. I don't think I love more than the 49ers is LSU. So Harbaugh, I liked him a lot. One of my favorite coaches of all the coaches. Well, no, I like Walsh more. But if the world lost Harbaugh in the football and sports, it'd be okay. But we'd be pretty lost if we lost Paul Finebaum, So that's just that. So that ends all that. But I want to ask you, have you heard anything about this extra coach being added to the SEC to make them 10? And I ask you that because we got the Saints special team coach on our staff now, but he's just on the staff. He can't be on the field. So I'm trying to figure, have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know where it's at right now, but, I mean, that has been discussed. It's a serious conversation right now.
You think they might do that?
Yes, I do.
It'll benefit the kids, right?
I don't know why they don't, considering how many people they're paying not to be on the field.
Exactly. Last thing. I already told you how I feel about what we're going to do this season, how we're just going to run through people and stuff. In Florida, I don't think Florida's going to be as good. I think they're going to be great defensively. But what do you honestly think if we played Michigan, coming out the gate instead of Florida? LSU. We had them.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think right now might give Florida a slight edge because of experience, not at the key, not at quarterback, but I think overall, I think that staff's been together.
I'm saying LSU. If we could play, if we had.
Oh, okay. You said LSU was playing. I think it's about the same. I think Florida would beat Michigan, and I think LSU would beat Michigan.
I'm hoping Florida do beat them because I'm an SEC man. I don't love nobody but LSU, but I root for the SEC in all bowl games, especially when we play out of conference teams. So I'm hoping they beat them. I think we would destroy Michigan. I think we'd beat them 30-0. So I listen to you, Paul, and I appreciate you.
Well, I mean, let's be fair here, okay? Michigan had a pretty good team last year. They couldn't finish. They lost 3 games by 5 points. They haven't been there, and they didn't show like they did. I mean, they should have beaten Ohio State. Everyone in America knows that, including Urban Meyer. Anyway, we'll take a break. Back with more coming up here with 2 hours and change to go on what has been a pretty eventful Friday afternoon. Stick around. So glad you are with us on a Friday. Are we excited it's Friday? Rob, you happy?
Happy.
Rob's happy it's Friday, so are we. We still have time to share, and let's continue by going back to the calls. Mark is next up in Tennessee. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
Hi there.
How you doing?
We are doing great. Thanks for the call.
That's good. Love the SEC.
Glad to hear. What can we do for you, Mark?
Okay, I've got a couple of trivia questions for Mr. SEC, Mr. Fowl.
Okay, I'm sure I will miss every one of them, but go right ahead.
How smart he is.
Well, not that smart, but
I understand.
Give me your best shot.
Okay, I'm going to ask him who was the first black African American quarterback in the SEC.
The first African American quarterback in the SEC.
Right.
There was Perry Wallace a quarterback at Vanderbilt? I can't remember. Condredge Holloway was certainly in the consideration. It's Condredge Holloway.
First.
Terry Wallace was a basketball player. Condredge Holloway at Tennessee from Huntsville, Alabama. How about that?
Exactly.
Okay. Do I win? Do I win something for that?
Hold on.
What's that?
I'm trying to listen to Paul on TV.
Yeah, you got me.
Okay.
Okay.
I got another one for him.
Okay.
Ask him how Hacksaw Reynolds got his nickname at Tennessee.
Oh, man. Jack Hacksaw Reynolds.
Right.
Hey, by the way, is that the guy that called in here? No, that was Steve Kiner that called in here. I don't know the answer to that one. I feel like are we going through an interpreter here? Are we at the UN General Assembly?
No.
Got to wait for the...
Yeah. Okay, I'm listening.
The Russian translation. Mr. Putin, Mr. Trump said, how did Hacksaw Reynolds get his nickname? Nice, right? So what's the answer?
Paul.
Yes.
You do not know?
I do not know. I hope it doesn't take an hour for that to get all the way to you. Can we just do Morse code? Would that save time?
What year did you graduate from the University of Tennessee?
That would be 78. Let me make it simple for you. Okay, I hate to do this, but we just can't. We don't. It's only a 4-hour show. I don't think we could. This is. It's just not possible to go through all that. Anyway, thanks for the call. Enjoyed it. That was great. Much fun. Phil in Columbia, South Carolina. Hello, Phil.
Yes. What's with the SEC and not having Roku anymore? Do you have any idea?
What's with the SEC not having what?
Roku. I was able to watch the baseball games on Roku on my TV, but I can't this year.
Help me, somebody in the other room. These games are available digitally, aren't they? Are they not? Yeah, they're available on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, but
you can. Is that the only? Brams, is that the only way you can watch it? Yeah, apparently the only. Don't quote me on this. You can watch it on the ESPN app, either on your phone or iPad, or can you watch it on television? I don't think so. Yeah. There's an Apple TV. Isn't there an app on an ESPN app on television? What's that?
It used to be, but
yeah, there are a number of baseball games right now going on. So I don't know the service you're talking about specifically, but I know I know they are available on ESPN Plus.
Well, I used to do it on Roku through my TV. So
yeah,
I can't now.
Do you have Apple TV?
No.
Okay. I wish I could help you more. I know this baseball started today, and there's tremendous interest, and obviously these games will start getting on the tube pretty quickly. Anyway, we're out of time. 2 more hours to go.
Hey, Low Post listeners, this week on the podcast, we have Howard Beck of Bleacher Report talking Serge Ibaka, Kevin Love, the MVP race, and his great feature on Thon the Curve.
On the latest episode of the Bill Barnwell Show, I talked to ESPN The Magazine's Mina Kimes about the latest episode of The Bachelor. Hot stuff. And check out the show on iTunes or by going to the ESPN app on your phone.
The NBA All-Star Game this Sunday.
Here's Curry behind the back, half-court heave on its way, and he hits it!
Coverage begins Sunday at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.